Hello there guys and welcome back to Blues Fans TV from a live review of Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Chelsea 1. And I wish I was in a better mood. I wish I could just be wishing you all a happy new year 2020 and everything. But I'm not in a great mood because that game was incredibly frustrating. Like, we were just really poor offensively. We were just really poor. I didn't even think we were necessarily awful defensively, bar the last 10 minutes or so. So, as the game was going on, I was like kind of, clutching on straws, I guess, what I could say in this review, like kind of see a positive outlook to this game, I guess. Just say, oh, at least we were defensively better and we held on to a 1-0. Well, we couldn't even fucking do that. Every team is capable of holding on to a 1-0, just we're not. And it's seriously pissing me off. Like, Liverpool have drawn one game, won all the other games in the Premier League. How many times have they won 1-0 or by one goal? Plenty of times. But we just can't seem to be able to do that. It's pissing me off. And yes, I know they have Van Dijk and everything, but it doesn't matter. And also, why do we always have to concede fucking screamers? Every bloody time it's a bloody screamer. Like, just think back to that Valencia game when Vas tries to cross the ball and just puts it into the net. And now Jahanbakhsh scores his first goal for Brighton in the last game, his first goal in 1.5 years. And now he scores today again with a bloody overhead kick. Like, just relax. Like, it's just not necessary. It's just really bloody not necessary. Of course, if you're new to Blues Fans TV, please be sure to subscribe. Drop a like on this live stream. That'd be massively appreciated. And also, don't forget to hit the notification bell button. But going into the game, when I saw the lineup, I was like, I'm okay with this. If you saw my preview yesterday, you saw that I said drop Kante or rest Kante and play Jorginho and Kovacic as a double pivot. Still think we should have done that. As awful as Kovacic was when he came on today, like, very rarely seen someone come off the bench and be worse than he was today. Just kept fouling and losing the ball. That's all he did, really, that I could remember right now. Anyway, like, literally, all he did was fouling and lose the ball or pass it out of bounds, literally. But still, Kante just what did he do? Couple of tackles, yeah, all right, and one volley that he hit straight at the keeper. But other than that, it was just like not what Kante does. He doesn't attack. He doesn't defend enough in that system. Like, it was just a load of nothingness. It was a load of nothingness from the entire Chelsea team today, really, except when we made it 1-0 early on through Aspilicueta in the 10th minute. I mean, we scored from a corner, which is great in the first place, I guess. William puts in a ball that's actually a bit too long, but maybe it was planned like that. Zuma at the far post, well, beyond the far post, heads it back into the mix, where Tammy gets a volley away, but Aaron Moy clears it off the line. But it falls straight to us. He just taps it in from close range. We got 1-0 up. I was very pleased. Everything was good. Everything was, nice. Everything was good. Everything was good. And then I was like, 10 minutes later, after Reece James has clattered into everyone and the entire stadium and Brighton started hating him, I was like, we actually haven't created anything. I mean, neither had Brighton at that point, but actually we haven't created anything. And it will, of course, accept the goal that we scored. I mean, there was one moment where Tammy was, well, just took the wrong decision. Had Willian to his right in a decent position to shoot, and Tammy just went for the shot himself, which, had two defenders in front of him, and they just easily blocked it over the goal instead of laying it off to Willian, which also Lampard and Morris were fuming at on the sidelines. And I think Pulisic had one shot that he dragged just wide just before half time, and other than that, it was just Kepa making one pretty good save from who was it, Trossard. And that was it for the first half. Going into the second half, Brighton make a change, bring on a striker for, well, a defender, I guess, and change the system up. And we didn't do anything. And we just, it was still the same problem. Our passing wasn't good enough. We were way too direct for how bad our passing was. We just could not keep the ball to save our lives. Every second or third ball was a long ball or a high ball, especially by Aspi on the left. As much as he is good defensively and scored, when he plays a left back, we just don't have any security on the ball. I'm sorry. And as poor as Emerson was against Arsenal, and as much as I can understand that Lampard didn't want to go with him again today, when we try to keep the ball, when we try to have control over a football game, Aspi at left back just doesn't do it. It just doesn't. Defensively, yes, can even chip in with a goal. Does so more when he plays left back than when he plays right back, for whatever reason that is. Obviously, I guess because he comes in more, but that's nothing to do with when it's a corner, I guess. But yeah, it was just frustrating. And I, for the entire game, felt like, well, if we had Kante, Kovacic and Jorginho, we would have a little bit more control here. And the more control we have, the calmer our passing is, and the easier and the, more in a collected effort, we can move up the pitch and try to create the chance. Because all it was today, we pressed well early on. Once that pressing stopped, Brighton were in and around our half. We won the ball. After two passes, we lost it again. Brighton tried to do the same thing. They lost the ball after 2 or 3. It was just a really poor game of Premier League football until the last 10 minutes when Brighton finally decided to turn up. Or not even 10 minutes, a bit more than that. Well, yeah, actually 10 minutes fits it quite well because they had what did I read? I read this stat earlier. They had a larger majority of their shots in the last 10 minutes anyway. Can't remember the exact stat, but it was ridiculous. Like it was honestly ridiculous. I mean, first Kepa makes a great save. Can't remember when exactly it was. Maybe around the 80th minute. A great save from also don't remember who it was. Just from a corner again. Obviously, corner set piece. We also conceded from a set piece. Obviously, but yeah, the ball was played into the middle, and somehow the striker managed to get a shot away from close range, and Kepa with a great reaction save to his bottom right to keep that out. Really, really good save. And then Johan Bucks just ends up scoring one of the best overhead kicks you'll see. Like one of the best overhead kicks you'll see this season, that's for sure. Again, a corner, you know, the ball is just like he's just in acres of space inside our box, just goes for the overhead kick and puts it into the bottom corner. Nothing Kepa can do about that. And Kepa actually pulls off one, if not two, really, really good saves after they made it 1-0 to actually rescue the point for us. And that is ridiculous. We didn't do anything. We had one moment for Hudson-Odoi who came on eventually for Pulisic in the... What minute was that? In the 66th minute. He came on for him. He had one moment just after they made it 1-1, I think. Where he put one, curling effort from just outside the box. He put it just over the bar. It wasn't a bad effort, but he could have still done a little bit more with it. And the other substitution, Kovacic for Mason Mount, I mentioned that. But yeah, it would have been good if I actually went through the lineup, wouldn't it? But I was just so annoyed by everything else that we did today that I forgot about that. So the lineup was Kepa in goal. The centre backs, well, I don't know where Tomori was, but he wasn't even on the bench, so don't know what happened to him. Rudiger and Zuma as do the centre backs. Reece James was back fit, somewhat surprisingly, because we thought he was out for a week to 10 days, according to Lampard 3 days ago. Now he started, was really, really good. We'll praise Reece James in a bit. Don't worry about it. Reece James on the right, like I said. Aspie at left back, the centre back, double pivot, I guess, of Jorginho and N'Golo Kante, and number 10 of Mason Mount in a 4-2-3-1. On the left, it was Pulisic. On the right, it was Willian, and up front, of course, it was Tammy Abraham. And like I said, I mentioned Kovacic when he came on. We only made 2 substitutions, which is also not exactly ideal. I mean, they make it 1-0 in the 84th. We could do something. Bring Batshuayi on. Like, do something, Lamps, please. I mean, today, I'm not going to say Lampard is completely at fault for what we did today because we had good enough players on the pitch to play better football than we did, and our passing football and generally just our play was just horrendous. Could he have done a little bit more to it? Maybe so. But he did bring Kovacic on. Maybe a bit too late, but it wasn't like late. He did try a couple of things. He did bring Hudson-Odoi on for Pulisic, who didn't have a great game. Actually, the second half was a bit better than in the first half, so I guess that is that. And, Mason Mount didn't have a good game either, and he brought Kovacic on for him at 1-0, a somewhat reasonable substitution to make, in my opinion, because, okay, a little bit better on the ball, slight bit more defensive, probably a decent substitution to make at 1-0 up in an away game. But, of course, it didn't turn out that way because Kovacic had an absolute shocker. Hudson-Odoi was no better or worse, in my opinion, than Pulisic was really. Pulisic had a couple of moments in the second half where he could have done better and possibly could have, maybe not scored, but at least, put his shot on target when he had 2 that he put just more wide than he should have done, really. But other than that, we didn't create anything. Like, we didn't create anything. We had, how many was it? 4 shots on target and 5 off target? I'm pretty sure it was. No, 4 off target and 5 on target, equally as many as Brighton. But if you think about it, very, very few of them, if any, were like actually threatening, except the goal, and obviously the one that Aaron Moy cleared off the line for, Aspie to then score the tap in. Other than those 2, I can't even remember anyone that was really dangerous for, Matty Ryan, the Brighton goalkeeper, for us to actually score. Like, it just wasn't like that at all. It was just a poor performance today. And I don't know, we're poor after Christmas, we were poor after New Year's. Maybe we just have a bit of a too young squad and they all went a bit partying too hard. Obviously, I'm taking a piss. I'm sure they all got the early night and it just wasn't our day in that sense. But it's just frustrating. Like, this season is such a strange season. Like, if you think back to before Christmas, we beat pretty much all the bad teams for the most part, except Sheffield, but they're quite good, even though they should be bad. But we lost to all of the big teams. We lost to United, we lost to City, we lost to Liverpool. Okay, we got a draw against Leicester, but still. And now we beat Spurs, we beat Arsenal, but we lose to Southampton and Brighton. I know I said yesterday in my preview, Brighton are a better team than the table gives them credit for, and they are a good team, and they showed that today. The manager showed today that he is a good manager, taking that risk, as Brighton against Chelsea, taking a defender off, putting a striker on for the second half, is very ballsy, and it paid off for them in the end. He also took off Aaron Moy, who, is one of their best players, if not their best player, and was voted their best player in the last month. And he brings on, how do you pronounce his name? Jahanbakhsh, for him, the guy who eventually scored the equaliser. So you have to give credit to them and him as well. Like, Brighton weren't exactly great either, but they turned it up at the end. We didn't manage to kill them off before. And they managed to steal a point, and it's just frustrating. Now we kind of need to hope that Arsenal get something against United, just so we keep that gap to outside of the top four, just at some decent enough margin, I guess. And it's just frustrating. Like, we need to just get on a fucking run. Like, now it's the FA Cup next weekend, and then we have a full week off until the next Premier League game. So we're just in this bit of a limbo state now. It's really frustrating. Just talking through a couple of players today. Tammy was all right. He had some great hold-up moments. He had some really bad hold-up moments. And he had that moment where he should have just played Willian in the first half. Other than that, he didn't really do much because he didn't really see the ball a lot. And that is not due to his fault. So, I can't really criticise him too much. Pulisic didn't have a great game. Second half a bit better, but didn't have a great game at all. Willian had good moments. I didn't necessarily think Willian had any bad moments. Willian can always do a bit more because he has the ability to. And then a lot of the time he just doesn't. But I wouldn't say Willian was necessarily bad today. Mount just wasn't good. Like, he just wasn't good. Sometimes his runs were off. His pressing was good, but sometimes his runs were just off. His touch was off. His passing was off. Didn't really get into many shooting positions, so he just didn't have a good game today. N'Golo Kante, way too many heavy touches. Some good tackles, but way too many heavy touches. Literally every 2 minutes, I felt like I'm thinking Kante again with a way too heavy touch. He had a decent, volley in the first half, but that was a more than easy save for the goalkeeper. So I don't know. Jorginho, in my opinion, always struggles if he's just there with Kante a little bit because he just can't play his passing football because he always needs to find the long ball, because if he gives it to Kante, Kante would just give him back without them moving up the pitch properly, or he gives it to Kante and Kante runs, which is not what Jorginho really wants to do and what Lampard wants us to do either. So, that's just not the best combination in my opinion. I think if we're going to play 4-2-3-1 and if we want Mount in the side, we should go Jorginho and Kovacic, and only if we want to play a proper three, then we go with all of them three, and then Mount doesn't play. It's just that for me. Like, Jorginho was okay today. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad, but it was better than Kante in my opinion, personally. Reece James though, I have to give credit to. Great performance. Really, really strong in a lot of positions. Knocked the guy, the 6'7" left back of Brighton, knocked him out. Dislocated his shoulder. Get well soon to him rather. The Brighton Stadium hated him after that. But he had a really good game. I was happy with Reece James. Rudiger was in a madness today. Kept shouting at everyone. Kept shouting at Zuma for no apparent reason. He kept shouting at the referee or whoever else. Just kept shouting at everyone and didn't even defend that well. So I don't know what he's doing. But like, he wasn't awful. I'm not saying that. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't think we were defensively like bad. Just the last 10 minutes, but then we have a goalkeeper to make saves. Like, he made a great save before they made it 1-0, and then we just concede from a screamer again. Like, at times, like, I wouldn't be mad if at times we get an early goal in an away game on New Year's Day in the early kickoff. We get an early goal and we just hang on and just win that game 1-0. At times, you just have to do that. I wouldn't mind that at all. But the problem is that we can't do that. So that's why we need to be more offensive. That's why we need to just score, because it doesn't matter who we play in midfield and defence, whether Kante plays or not, we concede all the bloody time. And that's why I'm saying, yeah, Kante does have his good tackles and does really, really help, in some situations. But it doesn't help enough for us not to concede. And I just think Kovacic and Jorginho together would have improved our attacking play so much that would have just overall worked better than having Kante next to Jorginho today. Maybe that's just me, fair enough. But, that's how I see it. And Zuma's pretty good. Don't really have any complaints with Zuma, in all honesty. I'd have to see the goal back, who exactly lost the header or who exactly could have been in a better position for when we conceded. But generally, I didn't think Zuma was particularly bad. Did well against Connolly in the second half. Aspi scored, of course. Not great on the ball, but that's just, can't really fault him for that much. It's just the player he is. Can only fault the manager for putting him there. If we're going to criticise Aspi for not being good enough in possession on the left. And defensively, he did okay. And Kepa was really, really good today. Kepa had today, again, he doesn't have them very often, but today at least he had one of those games where I'm like, yeah, we do have a really good goalkeeper. He made 3 really good saves. So I was happy with him, but at the end of the day, it's still 2 points dropped when, we just want more. We just need more and we want more. I said it yesterday, I said it after the Spurs game, we just need to get on a run of wins now in the league because, if we want to get top 4, we need it. United are in a bit of a better form. You never know what Arsenal are going to do with Arteta in now. Leicester, City, and Liverpool, we just need to forget about those. It's just a fight about 4th. And also Spurs. Spurs, they didn't get a great result last time out, but I'm sure they'll be bouncing up and down. So we need these kind of wins. We can't be losing to Southampton, drawing to Brighton, and losing to Bournemouth, and losing to Everton, who were in the relegation zone at the time, losing to West Ham. Like, we can't be affording to do that all the time, because it's not going to work every time like we did it against Arsenal. And also, there's a lot less top 6 teams than there is worst teams. So we need to start winning these games for once. Like, it's bloody frustrating. It really, really is frustrating. How long have I been going for now anyway? Roughly 50 minutes. So we'll get to a couple of things that you guys put in the chat. Of course, I really do appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in so far. Pardon me, just a little drink. Please be sure to subscribe to Blues Fans TV if you haven't already. Drop a like on this live stream if you're watching this right now. Drop a like on this video if you're watching this later on. And don't forget to hit the notification bell button so you don't miss any of the future videos. But let's just see what you guys put in the chat. Context system now, absolutely not. Did you not watch the Southampton game, mate? Or the Arsenal game until the 30th minute? 3-0 at the Emirates have when you won the league. Don't know what you mean. I don't know who you're talking to. It's simply not good enough. Bloody hell, where is it? Why Frank feels like Joe has to play. I don't know. Well, I don't think you can blame Lampard today for bringing Hudson-Odoi because Pulisic didn't have a good game. And you want something. Like, you don't want to bring Pedro on. I don't think he was even on the bench anyway, but, you know, there's a reason why Frank doesn't put Pedro on the bench, and there's also a reason why Lampard desperately wants attacking players. There's a reason why Lampard wants Sancho, why he wants Zaha, why he wants an attacker, possibly Werner. There's a reason for all of those things. So it's not like he awfully badly wants to play Hudson-Odoi. It's just like he wanted to change something because what we did until that change didn't work. Okay, it didn't improve at that point, but the manager can only do so much. He can't walk on the pitch and do it himself. You know, it's easy. Sometimes you have to criticize the manager. Sometimes you have to say, well, he tried and it didn't work. He didn't have another option. So what can he do, really? I mean, of course, there's always the option of bringing on a second striker, but, you know, I just still can't remember to this day when Chelsea ever did well with 2 strikers up front. The only time I can remember that working is against PSG when we got that late, you know, equaliser, whatever it was, to put us through to the quarter-final at the time, or to the semi-final at the time, with then Baba scored, and we had Torres and Ba on, possibly even had Eto'o on as well. That was the only time I can remember that having more than one striker on the pitch actually helped us score a goal. So generally, I don't think he should have done that for the last, you know, 6-7 minutes. You know, he should have tried that after we conceded the equaliser, because whether we draw or lose doesn't really make that much of a difference personally. So he could have tried it at that point, but before then, I wouldn't say so. And Hudson-Odoi, maybe he wasn't quite as good as he was against Arsenal, but I didn't think it was like awful. Like, he wasn't great, but he wasn't awful in my opinion. Pulisic is William. What? I don't understand that sentence, mate. What position do you think we really need right now? I think left back and centre back to pair with Zuma. I don't think the centre backs are necessarily the problem. In defending set pieces, maybe, but I don't think the centre backs are necessarily the problem why we concede goals, like, at all. A left back, yes, I agree. But a centre back, no. I think we need a winger. I think we could do with a striker. I mean, I like Tammy, but sometimes it just doesn't work a bit, kind of like today, and then it would just be good to have a different option that would actually do something. Like, Batshuayi is a decent striker off the bench, but it depends on the game whether his type of striker works or not. So it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Can someone tell me why our wingers individually are so highly rated, yet we're literally the worst team in the wide areas? Awful how... Oh, scrolling. Where is it? Awfully how we use width. You know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong there. Like, we just don't use our wings enough, and we just don't do them right. Use them right. First of all, the problem is that we don't have a left footer. You know, so we can't swap to, like, go for just crosses, or we can't go for just cutting in. That is obviously a problem. We need a left footer in the team. Ziyech is obviously the easy option, but he doesn't have a right foot, so I'm not sure whether that's good enough then. As great as his left foot is, and technically and everything. But yeah, it is frustrating. I mean, it comes and goes. Like, some games are better, some games are worse. I don't know, but you know, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. Hudson-Odoi is becoming very annoying. Energy, but no end product. I mean, the no end product thing, I will let him off for that for the time being, because of just come back from injury. When he has the attitude, when he has that energy that he just mentioned, then I can accept it today. He's 19, as much as he's on a big wage, he's still 19. And but more importantly, you know, he came back from a really, really bad injury. People seem to forget how bad that injury is. Even if he was good for 4 or 5 games before that hamstring problem, you know, you have to let him off a little bit. Why would Sancho go to Chelsea? Because the Chelsea fan, because we can play him 4 times what Borussia Dortmund play him, and because he wouldn't get into the City or the Liverpool team, so why would he go there? Simple explanation there, mate. It's not frustrating, it's just that we are having bad luck. We don't have bad luck, mate. Like, it's not as easy as bad luck. Yes, of course, you can talk about the screamers, but it's not bad luck that we concede every game, pretty much. Like, we concede every game. This is the first time ever that Brighton got a point against Chelsea in the Premier League in their 10th attempt. The first time ever. We had equally as many shots as Brighton did, on target and off target, and we only had 52% of the ball when we had more of the ball against bloody Man City. So, like, and we had more than 52% against Man City than we did today. So, we just weren't very good today. You know, maybe tiredness kicked in at the end because, you know, Brighton were so on it at the end. Maybe it was also just, okay, we're hanging on to a 1-0 lead. They're trying to get something from the game. That always happens. It's easy to say, oh, we were just tired. You try to hang on. A lot of teams manage to hang on and you get that 1-0 win. We don't. We didn't. So we dropped 2 points. But to be honest, that is really it from me. What else can I say, guys? What else can I say? I hope you guys still have had a good, New Year's Eve yesterday. You still can have a good New Year today. I don't know. I'm going to be a bit annoyed for a while now because that game really annoyed me. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Really do appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in. Subscribe to Blues Fans TV if you haven't already. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed this live stream, or if you enjoyed the video. If you're watching this later on, make sure you hit the notification bell button. Thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, and I'll see you when I see you.